To Turkey now, where the Interior Ministry says more than 1,100 people have been detained after days of protests over the arrest and detention of the mayor of Istanbul. 10 journalists and a number of left-wing politicians have also been arrested. Today, in early morning raids on Sunday, police again clashed with protesters as hundreds of thousands of people defied a ban on gatherings to support the mayor who's been formerly charged with corruption demonstrations in Ankara. And Izmir were also broken up with tear gas water, cannon, and pepper spray. Imamoglu has been described his imprisonment as a political execution without trial. He's widely seen as the candidate most likely to defeat President Erdogan in a general election. The AFP news agency is also reporting that Turkey's opposition party has confirmed they're putting him forward as their candidate in upcoming presidential elections. Well, let's speak to our correspondent Mark Len, who is in Istanbul. And Mark, this is an extraordinary standoff. And we've just seen these arrest figures. We know journalists have been detained too. Just bring us up to date. Yeah. There's a growing clampdown by the government GA, but also a growing street protest movement by people who believe that Imamoglu's arrest on charges of bribery and corruption is completely politically motivated. He was detained just 4 days before he was due to be formally selected as the candidate for the opposition CHP party for presidential elections to contest against President Erdogan. And he and polls show he is the only man who could unseat President Erdogan after almost 2 decades in power. He was stripped of his university degree last week, which would potentially disqualify him from standing, because having a degree is a prerequisite to be president in this country. Then he was detained, and then yesterday, Sunday, he was formally arrested on charges of bribery and corruption and held in pretrial detention. And the response from to all of that is a growing street movement in this country, the likes of which we've not seen for over a decade. This has becoming a rallying cry against what critics say is President Erdogan's growing authoritarianism arrest. Of all opposition, the fact that 90% of the media in this country is pretty much under the thumb of President Erdogan, the economy has kind of fallen off a cliff over the last few years. And there is a lot of anger against President Erdogan, and what we're seeing now in this clampdown and arrest of journalists and opposition figures is that the president is not afraid to crack down even harder what happens next with the mayor. Because if he is charged as he said, that's a further block to him actually standing in any election, isn't it? Well, he has lodged an appeal against those charges. And the chairman of the CHP, the opposition party, said that Imamoglu is on his way to prison, but he's also on his way to the presidency because he is not only galvanizing his own support with this arrest, but he's galvanizing a wider movement here in Turkey that believes that this is now politically motivated. Don't forget, GA President Erdogan himself used to be mayor of this city, Istanbul. And he himself was thrown in prison in 1999 for reciting an Islamic poem which was unfavorable to the secular elite back then. And that only emboldened him and gave him growing popularity, so that many people see in Imamoglu very much a mirror of Erdogan. He's younger, he's charismatic. He has been mayor of this city. President Erdogan himself has said in the past, whoever wins Istanbul wins Turkey. Imamoglu has won Istanbul 3 times, and many believe that he will go on to win Turkey. Quite how he does that if he fights any election from a prison cell, nobody's really certain. But this street movement is only going to grow. And with it, I think that the crackdown from Erdogan and the government Markel, an extraordinary events. There, thanks for being with us. We'll be back with you, of course, throughout the coming hours on that